Hi friends, welcome to another episode of In This Season, where we're all about growing
and glowing
in each season. In this episode, we're going to be exploring the concept of dating wrong and versus marrying wrong. Is it the same thing? What effect does it have on, our relationships and our futures? So I was just thinking about dating wrong versus marrying wrong.
Yeah.
What is the difference, or is it the same thing?
I feel like you'd rather date wrong than marry wrong.
Absolutely, yeah.
I always say a broken engagement is way better than a divorce. Not to mean that there is a stigma about divorce, but just the reality of divorce is, there's a lot that goes into it. So I'd rather date wrong than marry wrong. But also I feel like dating wrong helps you. If you are intentional about learning from your mistakes and your past relationships, it can help you to marry better than you would have married.
Dating wrong is also heartbreaking. It's a lot on your heart, right? But in the long term, you definitely rather date wrong because you have time to recover.
Yeah, you have time.
You have time to recover. You have time to learn about yourself, what you like, what you don't like, make better choices in the future. You know who to avoid because being in that situation long term.
And I feel like not everyone needs to date wrong. There's some people who have been privileged enough to date the first person, marry them.
How does it feel to be God's favorite?
And I didn't date until almost like third year of university. So I can literally count the men that I can say are my exes. Of course, you have talking stages that really don't even count those. Yeah. But men who I've actually been exclusive with, I can count them.
There's definitely a benefit to, granted, we would all rather not have our hearts broken, and we'd all
that's the ideal
rather
situation.
not have relationships end because even when you date someone and they're not right for you and it ends because you both realize that you're not right for each other, it's still painful.
It is.
Right? Because we don't enter relationships to end them.
Yeah.
Right? But exhausting. You do learn a thing or two. What are those things for you that you have learned that you are a no for you?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be like a broken record. I think please leave us a comment down below that for every time I say character, leave a comment down below because I feel like that's my song. I think for me, I now know that I'm all about the insides of a man. And knowing that I don't like a man who's attractive. Those that's very important in a relationship. But I feel like for me now, I'm focusing more on who the man is minus what the man have or where the man is coming from. So it's more about character, kindness, thoughtfulness, their relationship with God, how they treat others, one on myself, how they treat people who they don't have anything to benefit from, because I think that's very important. Like how does he treat not only waitresses and waiters, but even support staff in their spaces at work, how they talk about other people. So for me it's really just the wholeness, the holistic idea,
how they act when they're angry.
Exactly.
Well, even with you, when they're not pleased with you, it's all fun and games when everything is hunky-dory and whatever, but some people turn into a whole other person when they're angry.
But also for me, I think another thing that I know that I like now is the vulnerability in a man. Yeah. And it's really nice when a man can be open and accept that, look, I'm struggling, or I don't have it figured out, or I'm scared, and not that he'll probably just break down without having a solution, but just recognize that he's human, not just putting on a bravado.
The whole macho.
For me, it's really attractive. So and I may not be able to solve his problem, but just knowing that I'm a safe space that he can feel like he can open up is quite attractive and quite. Yeah, something that I really now like in a partner. Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever dated someone who was wrong for you? Or who turned out, of course, they were probably not wrong for you in the beginning, but who turned out to be wrong for you?
I think I will rephrase this, because I think when we say wrong, we assume there is someone who's right automatically.
No. I just mean that it wasn't a good fit.
It wasn't a good fit.
Maybe you were different. Maybe you had, it just wasn't a good fit.
Yeah, quite. Yeah. I dated. I think I could say I dated a guy who, on paper, we were perfect fit. We're both ambitious. We liked the same things. We're all chasing career and everything. But then, in doing actual life together, it wasn't just a good fit. It was as if he wanted to have a one up over me, wanted to prove that I'm better than you, or and I kept thinking, like, it's not a competition. Like, you're running your race, I'm running mine, we're supporting each other. I'm not trying to go ahead of you, or so it felt as if he was going to be trying to prove himself that he's better than me in every other space, and it was quite exhausting. Yeah. And yourself?
I've dated a few people who were not right for me, but the one that like stands out is, he wasn't a bad person. I'm not a bad person. We were just completely wrong for each other. I keep preaching that it's important for you to have some similarities in your background, in your values, in your, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
If you're on completely different pages, it becomes a bit difficult for you to find a middle ground. And so with him, like, our lives, it was like we were born in completely different universes, right? And it just made me aware of certain things that things like gender roles, right?
Oh my God.
In my family of origin, there were no gender roles, right? Everyone was just a person. Do you get what I mean? If I wanted to cook, I would cook. If my father wanted to cook, he would cook, not because, he could cook if he wanted to. I could cook if anyone who wanted to cook would cook. So it wasn't about, you do this because you're a man, you do this because you're a woman. In fact, I didn't even realize, I don't think I really fully internalized or realized that I was a woman until I stepped out into the big bad world, and that there's all these things that are assigned to that gender. Now see how I find myself in a relationship with someone whose entire upbringing was about men do this and women do this. Do you know what I mean? Do you see how that was a complete chaos? Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
If he had ended up in a situation with a woman who maybe had a similar background and whatever, probably they would have been very happy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think you touch a very, very I can't even emphasize how important a discussion on gender roles in dating is. Because I feel like personally I've had to unlearn a lot and relearn. But I think that most of the problems we have in our relationships are around gender roles, and most of it, really, I think you can actually outsource. Like, people be fighting, cooking for me. And I remember this time I flew to a certain country to see a certain son of Adam, and fresh off the plane, this dude goes like, "Oh, I bought fruit." He had bought fruits like watermelon, oranges, mangoes, passion.
And he's sending you straight to the kitchen?
And he's telling me, "I go and make juice for us." And I'm like, I have just flown in, and yes, granted, I've rested for an hour, but I'm literally still a guest.
Yeah.
So in what world do you think it's okay for me to go and make juice?
Actually, you were supposed to have had like a dinner ready.
Thank you.
Or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because
you should have actually done the juice.
Yes, I've come all this way to see you.
Yeah. And I said no. I said no, I'm exhausted, and juice, we can actually get juice we can call people on Instagram.
Yeah, you can buy it.
People who actually sell juice. And anyway, so of course he masked that. And later on, when we were doing like a post-mortem of the situation, one of his issues was that I am not a good woman. They said, "Where does that come from?" He said, "I even asked you to just make juice for me and what." And for him, that was like a deal breaker.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
It was a big deal. And I told him, "You know what? I'm happy that we're actually having this conversation now, because I'm not that woman." my time, I'd rather spend my time thinking about other ways of making money than making juice. Not that it's bad to make juice for your partner.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine if it works for you.
If it works for you. I'm on holiday. I work hard. When I have 2 weeks, I'm not going to spend that time making juice when I can actually have someone who can make juice.
This is why I work.
Yeah, I'll spend time with you, and we discuss about the future, and I realized it's a very, very important conversation to have. Who does what in a relationship, and how does that translate to the both of you? So that is a very, very valid point. Yeah,
I get you. I think one thing that's also like really important to me is that the person that I'm with felt loved as a child. Do you get what I mean? And I don't even mean this in an insensitive way, because I know some people were not, but if I did fall in love with someone who was not, it's important to me that they're taking steps. Like, what are you doing about it? Are you in therapy? What are you doing to heal from the childhood that you had? Because otherwise, in the absence of those two things, they are going to take it out on you, their partner. We act out towards our partners, probably because they're the closest people to us. And I've been in that situation one too many times where my partner resented me because of
what happened to them.
Because it happened to them and it didn't happen to me, and it looked like my daily life was a constant poke in his eye for, you know what I mean. And I remember we did therapy together.
Oh, you're such a lover girl.
Man. I mean, I believe that you need to give, if this person matters to you, you need to try all avenues before you put it down. That way, when you walk away, you know for a fact that you tried.
You did your best,
You tried. I'm a 100% believer in that. And so I remember we did a therapy, couples therapy, whatever. They would talk to us separately and then together. And in the end, the therapist was like, I'm not supposed to say this ethically, but
there's deep things.
And unless the person is willing to go to those places and do that work,
and the reality
it's a sinking ship.
The reality is that not many men actually know.
And I
how
think
to do
men
that,
need to normalize
spaces.
therapy.
But I wanted to ask, I had a follow-up question. How would you know that this, for just someone who's watching and may have, like, how would you know that this person was in love? Like, if you're talking stage, because now you've already gone in, then you find out. But in the talking stage, is there a way to suss out some of these
I think it's an important question. Were you loved as a child?
Directly like that.
Part B. Did you feel loved as a child? What would you say?
On a date. Son of Adam, were you loved as a child? Of course, you feel like child.
Okay, maybe not when date 1 or date 2, but when I start to realize that this is, to be fair, there are certain things that you can ask about how they grew up, what's their relationship with their parents like now, things like that. What are their relationship with their siblings like? How often do they talk to their parents? There is no one size fits all.
True.
I also kind of read psychology books for fun and entertainment. I like to understand human behavior. So it might be a bit easier for me than for another person. But also, maybe it's not a problem for other people. You get? So I'm not saying that is a standard.
But for someone
a dating standard. But for someone like me, I have been put in a position one too many times where I am paying for the crimes or for whatever negligence of people's parents. I'm not going to be in that position again. That is not my job. I'm not God. I'm not Jesus. So I can love you from a distance. That's not my job. And I would also not like to participate in bringing children into the world that are going to also have to be a part of that same cycle. So I think that it's important for people to be self-reflective and cut some of those cycles.
And I also think that one thing I realized is, as women, and I don't speak for all, but some women do fear asking questions because we fear coming off as too direct or too desperate on the first few dates. But when I did online dating, one of the things that the guys I went on dates appreciated was the fact that I came I came on direct. Like I was not beating around the bush, and I realized there is men out there who actually appreciate you being direct and asking the questions that you need to ask, instead of going around beating around the bush, and then like on the 5th, 6th date you're like, by the way, I can't be with you. Like we said, so much time, yet you saw it right from, you could have asked right from the start, you know. So I think there is no harm in asking some of these questions.
No, absolutely not. Also, the men, let me tell you something. The men are very quick to determine if you're the one for them or not.
Yeah.
And if you're not, you're not. There's nothing you're going to do to change his mind.
You will cry before them, do whatever katemba, and they'll be like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, men, they rarely compromise on their things. So I don't see why you as a woman should. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And on this channel, we really advocate for you stepping into your dating from a place of power.
Yes.
Not a place of being a victim or being helpless, because no, you're not.
So one piece of advice I would give, for sure, I take it myself, and I would give it to anyone who's, looking for a partner. Be clear about your non-negotiables, your boundaries. If this, is a no for you, let it be a no for you. And if you're clear on what's a no for you, it's easier for you to see it earlier.
Yeah.
Than 7 months in.
And it saves you so much time.
It saves you so much time.
It saves you, like when I look back at some of the things that the dating situations or relationships I was in, had I been the me now who has overcome people pleasing to a certain level, would just have walked out like the first date. But this whole idea that maybe it will change, maybe I'll grow to love him. I'm like, who convinced us? Who lied to us?
The generations before us.
Yeah, such a disservice. Yeah.
I mean, it's not, I mean, some people can't grow to love people, most people cannot. Also, why you
need to know yourself.
Yeah,
you need to know yourself. I mean, there's people who have said they've grown to love, and that's good for them. But if you know that you're not that person, stop trying to fit into that mold. I think for me, it was the idea of trying to copy and paste someone else's story.
Yes, and fit yourself into it, make it fit you.
Exactly, not realizing that my love story is quite unique. It will not be the same as yours, and there is no harm in it. Just because mine looks different from yours does not mean it's less successful or less fulfilling.
Yeah.
So
our journeys are different.
Yeah, our journeys are very, very different, and it would have served me from dating wrong. But I have no regrets.
Okay, I have no regrets either. Yeah, just a whole lot of character development, but that's a story for another day.
Wasted money. Do you know that there was after I called for my engagement, I went shopping. I blew about, I won't say the amount, but I blew quite, shopping, swiping.
Retail therapy.
I would have put that money in some...
Do you comfort eat?
I don't comfort eat, but I comfort shop.
Yeah. I comfort eat.
I comfort shop, so I'll probably go and buy something that is exciting, and But I think I've become better through therapy. I now know how to put words to my feelings and first sit with my feelings before
instead of running from them. So because they always find you on the other side.
Yeah. So I now sit with it. I will cry. I now cry a lot. I will cry, let it out, pray, journal, and I know how to walk through it. I don't run anymore. Before, swipe here, swipe there, plan a trip, do this, cook, post people,
anything to get out of those feelings. I get you.
But now I think I'm more equipped. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about red flags. What would you say a person who should look out for? What are those things that
red flags? Yeah, I mean, we don't want to, without sounding very prescriptive. Because I know there's people who, for some people, they've normalized cheating. Some of them have normalized some of these things. But for me, I think one of the red flag would be a man who does not listen. Like you're on a date, he's talking about him. Like he has not stopped to listen. To inquire. He's not curious about you.
It's all about him.
It's all about him.
I am this, I did this, I do this,
exactly.
I own this.
So he's not curious about who's Zerida. What do you like? How did you grow up? What impresses you? What excites you? So for me, I feel like that for me is a red flag, because then I'm like, am I going to be an active participant in this relationship, or it's going to be about him? But also the street cred of a man. I know that people say don't listen to other people's opinions, and that's very good. But also, reputation is quite important. If there's people who know this person, and they're like 10 people. For me, that's something that I learned. And they're all saying the same thing about this person. What are the chances that it's actually false? You know, so maybe spend some time and ask or inquire a little bit, because I remember when I was dating one of my ex-fiancé, there were a few of these things, like the street cred, you know, was a bit, but I'm like, no, maybe it's changed, maybe, you know.
Oh.
You know, so I feel like if there's many things saying the same thing about this person, it could be a red flag. Like, pause and do some kind of research, like do a background check before you go in.
On that one, I would definitely agree, because there's someone that I dated and I thought it was serious. You know, it was actually the first serious relationship, probably that one, the first serious relationship after the divorce. And this was someone I used to know when we were kids. I've known him for a very long time, and he was very shady when we were growing up. But you know, children, teenagers, you know, I figured they had grown up. So we reconnected, and you know, all fun and games. He's an amazing human, blah blah blah. And I always felt like, did I misjudge him back then? Because I knew back then it wasn't just rumors. I also knew, because I knew of certain people that were, you know. But I was like, you know, he has grown, he has changed, you know, all of these things. Do you know how that relationship ended?
The same things that
he got his workmate, someone who was his subordinate at work, he got the wife pregnant, and now they're together.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, like when I found out, I saw that girl, and I said, hold on, isn't this so and so's wife? Because every now and then we'd talk on the video call, and I would say hi to her, or I'd see her in the background and blah blah blah, and they were friends, but she was married to someone who was on his team. He was the ex-husband's boss. He was the husband's boss.
Oh no.
And that's how it ended. And I was just like, I knew this. You know, I knew this, because this is the same stuff he used to do all our lives. We grew up in the same like church community, whatever. But this is what he used to do. He was always dating this person, but cheating with this person, dating 2-3 people at the same time. So I knew.
Yeah, and we're not saying that you can't forgive people for their past mistakes.
And people do change.
But have they changed?
Yeah. Yeah, to be taken research.
It could be that you want them to have changed, but have they truly changed? So for me, I think that can be a red flag. If God if people have come around and told you stuff like, of course, don't take every street cred, but there is some that is quite potent. Yeah. But also, I think another red flag is the person who talks bad about their family to me. Like when we are still dating, like if we are married, it's okay, maybe your space where you want to vent, but like you badmouth people, and I feel like, you know, there's no need for you to be, there's a way to speak and disagree with someone without necessarily using foul language and being, you know, a bit, for me it's bad manners, really, and for me it's a red flag for bad manners.
Yeah, bad manners is definitely a thing. I think for me it would be, like you mentioned, the one-sided communication. Like for me, communication is a big thing. Yeah. Because there's no way you're going to deepen like in your connection and really get to know each other and get to the next level emotionally if the communication is terrible. Yeah. But I am so busy, you know, I can only text back after 4 days. No.
Yeah, because the reality is, if a man wants you, he wants you. And he will make time. We are all busy. No one is sitting idle fiddling with their hands. We are all doing something. So if I've made time for us, it should also be reciprocated. Yeah,
because we all make time for things that are important to us. Exactly. It might not be as much time as, you know what I mean? I get that schedules are busy or whatever, but I'm a real believer in, if something is important to you, you will make time for it. You mean that you can't
actually get 10 minutes when you're in your toilet break to respond back and say, hey babe, I'm thinking about you today, hope you're well?
Yeah, really? Yeah, that's definitely a red flag. Yeah. Another one is a person who belittles you, you know, or belittles your job. You know, the ones who say, oh, your job.
Yes. How did I even forget?
You know,
that?
Just because you're a CEO.
Was telling me, oh, but you know, you're used to your monthly salary. I was like,
Yeah, a person who belittles you, does not value you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I might be, just a content creator, and you're, the MD of I don't know what company. Respect in a relationship is something really important. I mean, a few generations ago, we have grandparents where one grandparent was, let's say, chief of I don't know where, and his wife wasn't working, and there was still respect. He spoke of his wife, they speak of that, you know what I mean? So please do not think that is okay. Don't normalize being belittled or disrespected. It is not okay.
Yeah, and even sometimes some men take it to another level. Some partners take it to another level where they even disrespect you publicly. Like you're on table and they are, they shush you. You want to give your opinion in like among friends, and they're like, on a tabi money, like what do you know about Russia and Ukraine? You just, you're available on Instagram.
Yes, I get it.
These are most of serious people, topical issues, as someone would
so basically,
say.
For you,
just
what do you know?
And I'm like, that's quite disrespectful. And that usually sometimes can happen if you're in relationships, so there's a bit of an age difference, where the person feels like they've seen more life than you. They're like,
exactly. But the problem with that though is that you'll never relate as equals.
Exactly.
So how are you going to be partners if you do not relate as equals?
And also what that translates to you in the long term is that your voice does not matter.
Yes.
So even
and you internalize that, and it creeps out into other areas in your life. Before you know it, your confidence levels are down. It's such a slippery slope.
And sometimes you may not even think. You may think, no, it's just a one-off. But the more you normalize and accept it, the more you start dimming yourself.
Yes. Before his voice becomes your inner voice. And then you see it starting to affect other areas of your life. That's true.
That's a very, very good red flag. But also another red flag, I think, is for me, and I mean, some of you may disagree, but I feel like, for me, like, I don't like people resharing videos of abuse, rape jokes. And for me, really, that's a red flag. If a man finds those things acceptable.
Resharing nude videos that have been leaked.
Like
all of that.
For me, that's
participating in the abuse.
Why do you think it's actually okay for you to share a rape joke with me or with another woman, or for you to even ask, why? Why are you resharing a video where they are bashing women and calling women all kinds of names? For me, those and I've made it
or
very
laughing
clear.
at it. Even finding it funny for me is a red flag.
So I've made it very clear in terms of my inbox what kind of videos I can receive, whether from women or men, but and especially for men. Like for me, that says a lot about you. And if you do, I tell it. I say no. For me, this is unacceptable. Because then what are we saying?
Another red flag, a big one, because women, we fall for this all the time. Control issues. Controlling behavior. It seems cute in the beginning.
Like where you who are you with?
The type who they first of all, for me, the way would you exchange passwords on your phone? Controlling behavior. He wants to know who's calling. He wants that micro
managing.
I once dated someone who would call, you're talking, I'm like, I'm going to have lunch with Priscilla. And then he'll be like, where are you? Blah, blah, blah. And then he would show up to say hi.
Stalker behavior.
Or he would send you like, I'm at Cafeteria. And then he would call Cafeteria and have them bring you a bottle of bubbly. It was never anything bad.
No, but
it was just
okay. That one of the
creepy.
Bubbly can look a bit thoughtful. Like,
no, but it was all the time. Then he would show up unexpected,
Babe,
he
have
was
you heard what other men are doing, ordering bubbly? When I said, please order bubbly.
It would feel like the waiter is spying on you, because later on when you're talking, he would be like, Priscilla, does she wear green all the time? Things like that.
Also, why did he need to let you know that
that he knows? That's what I'm saying, that it seemed sweet
and
innocent, but now that I'm older, when you look back, it was control.
It is, it is. And it can be quite scary because a man who can control you can abuse, can hit you.
Yes. Fortunately, the relationship didn't go on long, again because of control issues. But those tiny little things, like
but
I said.
the reality is, control sometimes can seem quite attractive.
That's the thing. For me, I was just like, oh my gosh, he is so sweet. But it's
because
creepy.
like many times you hear women say, I want an alpha man, a man who's in control.
Yeah.
So how much control is okay?
Someone once threatened to he told me, he has access to Pegasus.
But it also happened to me.
And then he said, but it's expensive, but just throw it there, just so you know.
But now what is Pegasus for those?
Pegasus is spyware. It's like really expensive military grade spy software.
But why would he want you to know that he has
Please do not
access
think
to
this is
that?
cute. It is not okay. It is not okay. Everybody is entitled to their autonomy as a person.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
If you don't trust each other, why are you together?
And you know that and the man who's controlling also can play with your mind.
Yes, the mind game.
He plays the mind game, and it can be a bit scary.
Yeah,
and
it's
trust me,
creepy.
that's a sort of abuse.
I mean, I look back and I'm like, where would this have gone?
Isn't this? Stayed? He would be here to make sure that we are indeed shooting.
Yeah.
You would even be talking about these things. How dare you even open your mouth publicly? Like, you would have been stifled, because a man who's controlling wants you to actually dance to his tune, to what is comfortable. So you basically become his what do they call those dolls? He plays with you like this. Those
puppets.
Exactly, you become his puppet. When he says we are going here, that's where you will go. Wear this, that's what you'll wear. And in the long run, you lose yourself. So it's a very dangerous thing. But I agree with you that control in the beginning, or if you meet a master controller, can really come off quite attractive.
Yes, it is actually, because as women, I think, I don't know if it's because we have an inner damsel. We want
I
to
told
be
you it is
saved.
Disney.
It is Disney. But I think it's also just woven in society. Patriarchy has been the controller of so many societal norms for a very long time. So for the longest time, he has gone to hunt for you. He has brought for you. He goes and catches and whatever. But I also think it has a lot to do with evolution, whatever. You know how we're always attracted to the bigger
because
men
the truth is,
and whatever.
many women
security,
power,
protection, all of those things.
Yeah.
Those are things
and
we're
usually
attracted
when
to in
a
a
man
man.
has those things, he can easily.
Yeah, controlling men obviously have that. They're
but I can see how a bottle of bubbly can be attractive, please. Okay, so guys, we'll continue with part 2. Please come back and catch us again as we continue this conversation.